Great teamwork equals great success, and each starts by being a great teammate. Drew Holiday is awarded multiple times as Teammate of the Year, but some players were just the complete opposite of Drew. From on-court antics to off-court troubles, these players made headlines for all the wrong reasons. Here are the 5 worst teammates in NBA history. Kwame Brown's entry into the NBA, where he was selected as the first overall pick in the 2001 draft by the Washington Wizards, was anticipated with great expectations thanks to his impressive high school performances. He was referred to as the best high school player in his class and earned the High School Player of the Year title in Georgia. Despite initially committing to the University of Florida, he later chose to declare for the NBA draft. This caught the attention of the Wizards, who later secured him under team president Michael Jordan. The young Brown told the Wizards coach at the time, Doug Collins, "If you draft me, you'll never regret it." And oh boy, did they regret it. Amidst high expectations, Brown's time with the Wizards was filled with inconsistency and internal conflicts, particularly in a tense relationship with then superstar guard Gilbert Arenas. Despite being a promising prospect, Brown's performance didn't meet the great expectations that came with the first overall pick title. His struggles on the court, coupled with off-court controversies, resulted in mounting frustrations for both the team and the fans. Brown's tenure with the Wizards was marked by increased criticism with fights among teammates and issues of legal trouble off the court. His refusal of a lucrative contract offer and more difficulties within the team led to his departure from Washington. As the season wore on, the heat turned up. He clashed with Gilbert Arenas, fellow teammates, and coach Eddie Jordan. His journey to other teams, including a move to the Memphis Grizzlies in exchange for Pau Gasol, did little to dispel the narrative surrounding his inability to meet expectations. Then, in August 2003, trouble brewed when Brown faced a DUI charge near his hometown. Then, fast forward to October 2007, another incident in Georgia led to Brown getting arrested for disorderly conduct and meddling with a law enforcement officer after the driver of a car he was in got arrested for drunk driving with a suspended license. His time with the Lakers was similarly disappointing and was to be remembered by fans' visible displeasure with his performance on the court. Even as the Lakers saw success and clinched championships, Brown's contribution was far from commendable and led to further criticism of his abilities as a player. In the aftermath, comments from former teammates, especially from Gilbert Arenas, reflected the disappointment surrounding Brown's NBA career. Arenas had shown Brown's poor performance and the negative reception he received from fans in many cities. It was worth noting the sentiment that Brown's reputation as a bad teammate came primarily from his struggles as a player rather than any personal anger. Up to this day, he's still considered one of the biggest busts in NBA history. Kwame Brown may be a bust, but Rick Barry is not one of them. Growing up in Roselle Park, New Jersey, Rick Barry wasn't always taking the path for basketball glory. In his early days, he shone brightest in baseball, but was on the basketball court where he excelled later in school. Barry was a historic scorer and a versatile player, setting records as the only player ever to lead the NCAA, ABA, and NBA in points per game in a single season. Yet behind Barry's impressive skills on the court lay a bad off-court reputation. He's known for his crafty underhanded free throws, but carried a notorious tag as the league's most hated player. His personality was often laced with arrogance and a fighting demeanor, which led to constant friction with teammates. Even in his autobiography, Barry shockingly admitted to punching a nun and calling his own mother a greedy person. Despite his on-court prowess, some say that he only gets that many points because of selfishness. His tendency to dominate the ball and reluctance to share it with teammates drew talks with observers, labeling him a selfish player. Criticisms echoed as Ron Reed from Sports Illustrated once said that Barry would rather give blood than pass the ball to a teammate. Rick Barry's relationships with teams was filled with bad stories as well. He parted ways with the Warriors over a financial dispute and openly expressed disrespect for certain teams and regions. His likeness to joining the ABA's Washington Caps and his negative comments about the Virginia Squires also became headlines in sport pages at the time. Barry even cited not wanting his kids to adopt a Southern accent as a reason for not living in Virginia. Former players' accounts shared some stories about Barry's brutal personality. They describe him as condescending and lacking in diplomacy. Some even predicted that if Barry were at the UN, he might begin a fight. Robert Parrish commented, "He had a bad attitude. He was always looking down at you." While Michael Dunleavy remarked, "He lacks diplomacy. If they sent him to the UN, he'd end up starting World War III." Rick Barry found great success as a shooter in the NBA, much like the capable three-point shooter Delonte West. Delonte Maurice West, born on July 26, 1983, was among the best high school players in the country during his years at Eleanor Roosevelt High School in Greenbelt, Maryland. His stellar skills secured him the prestigious Washington Post All-Met Basketball Player of the Year honor, where he averaged 20.2 points, 6.5 rebounds, 3.9 assists, and 3.1 steals a game. Moving on to St. Joseph's University, West significantly contributed to his team's glory days. His role during the 2003-2004 season proved pivotal to propel the St. Joseph's Hawks to an unbeaten 27-0 record in the regular season and a thrilling run to the Elite Eight in the NCAA tournament that culminated in an outstanding 30-2 finish. But despite his promising talent, West's basketball career was filled with off-court difficulties. Legal troubles arose when he was stopped for a traffic violation while riding a three-wheeled motorcycle. The discovery of firearms, which included a 9mm Beretta, a Ruger 357 Magnum, a Remington 870 shotgun, led to some legal effects. West claimed he was moving these weapons that were found by his cousin's children at his home following a request from his mother that they needed a gun. His career was further shadowed by controversies, famously rumored incidents involving LeBron James's mom, Gloria James, without official confirmation. It's rumored that James visited his mom's place and found West wearing just a towel when he walked in. There were also reports of a confrontation with Celtics teammate Von Wafer, hinting at West starting the altercation. West's struggles with mental health, legal complications, and off-court controversies dimmed the shine of his basketball story. Despite his prowess on the court, his confusing personal life and off-court challenges overshadowed everything else. It impacted his stints with teams like the Boston Celtics and the Cleveland Cavs. Unlike Delonte West, Stephon Xavier Marbury was an all-star turned villain story. Famously known as Starbury, he grew up in the neighborhood of Coney Island, Brooklyn. He was born on February 20th, 1977, and was destined for greatness in basketball from the start. His ball skills quickly propelled him to fame and earned him the New York State Mr. Basketball title after a remarkable senior year, where he tallied 27.4 points, 8.3 assists, and 3 steals per game averages throughout the season. People had high hopes for him, even envisioning him as the next big point guard from New York City. If Victor Wembanyama is the best prospect since LeBron, Stephon Marbury was predicted to follow in the footsteps of NBA stars like Mark Jackson and Kenny Anderson. After Brown's departure, the Knicks continued to suffer from internal issues stemming from Marbury's strained relationships, especially with coach Isaiah Thomas. Rumors emerged about a heated confrontation between Marbury and Thomas on a team flight where Marbury allegedly blackmailed Thomas after deciding to bench the former All-Star. The tension between Marbury and the then newly appointed coach Mike D'Antoni escalated, which resulted in Marbury's eventual ban from Knicks games and practices. Despite Marbury's great talent and potential as a point guard, his time with various NBA teams, especially the Knicks, was remembered for conflicts with coaches and teammates. You are the worst teammate if your name's Latrell Fontaine Sprewell. His basketball career started at Three Rivers Community College Raiders basketball team in Missouri from 1988 to 1990, followed by his time at the University of Alabama from 90 to 92. The Golden State Warriors selected Sprewell as their 25th overall pick in the 92 NBA draft. Famously known as Spree, he immediately made an impact by starting in 69 games during his first season and averaging 15.4 points per game. His talent was undeniable, leading him to shine as a top scorer and grabbing spots in the Western Conference All-Star team in 1994, 95, and 97. The shocking practice session led to severe punishments for Sprewell that resulted in a 62-game suspension and significantly staining his reputation within the NBA. Although he continued to play after the incident, it didn't change his attitude. Fast forward to 2004, during his time with the Minnesota Timberwolves, Sprewell was offered a 3-year, $21 million contract extension, which he publicly turned down. His refusal sparked controversy as he expressed discontent, making remarks about financial support for his family. He even said, "I have my family to feed. If Wolves owner Glenn Taylor wants to see my family fed, he better cough up some money. Otherwise, you're going to see these kids in one of those Sally Struthers commercials soon." Yep, he straight up mentioned starving kids worldwide.